My name is Harriet and I'm going to be doing my talk about London. I decided to do it on London as throughout my life I've lived near or around or in London. London is the capital of England and is located down in the southeast of the country and has a population of approximately 7.6 million. There is a stereotypical view that in England or London generally that it always rains. But according to Origin climate surveys, there's actually more annual rainfall in Washington DC than in London. Today I will firstly be talking about historical places, events that go on, and sports. Firstly, this is Buckingham Palace. It's the home of our monarch, the Queen, at the moment Queen Elizabeth II. The Queen has the title of the head of state. In the olden days, the Queen or King would pretty much run the country. However, today has little say in matters. This political power is now invested in the Prime Minister, who is the head of government, equivalent of a president. The Queen, in theory, still has the power to refuse the consent of a bill or appoint her own Prime Minister. However, this just doesn't happen, and there'd be a huge uproar if anything was to happen about this. One of the major attractions of Buckingham Palace is the changing of the guard ceremony. This ceremony has been a tradition since 1837 and has not changed at all within these 172 years. This is when one regiment takes over from another regiment to protect the royal family. The ceremony includes the guards marching from St James's Palace, which is down the road, up to Buckingham Palace, in line and in tune to the regiment song played by a traditional band. Do you see here, the guard there is the guard in the sentry box. In today, it's become a tourist must-have to go up there and try and make him laugh. Whenever you walk past, you'll see tourists either dressing up, putting funny faces, doing a huge, just anything really to get a reaction. However, they're not allowed. They did, however, once do a comedy kind of show where it was a fake guard and they made tourists come up doing their usual thing, expecting nothing to happen, when actually this was not an actual guard, but a comedian who got out his gun and shoved it right in. Not into him, but shoved it into their face, and the tourists absolutely screamed. It was hilarious. Does anybody know what this is? No? Yeah, Tower of London. The Tower of London was built in 1066, and it protected London's from invaders, housed in prisons and remitted notorious criminals to the crown. It's also housed bears, lions, and to this day, flightless ravens. According to the Her Royal Majesty website, over 150 women and men were beheaded in there. Functions of the Tower of London have included, obviously, execution, torture, has been a storage for records, and to this day it protects the crown jewels. The crown jewels are worn during during state functions or during coronation. This is when the Queen or King becomes the Queen or King. The actual value of these jewels is unknown, as it has never formally been announced that they have been valued. Although London, yes, has a lot of historical places, it's definitely not stuck in place, stuck in traditional lines, and it's not afraid to do stuff out of the ordinary. Sometimes even locals are shocked by the strange events that go on. For example, in 2003, David Blaine, an American illusionist, lived in a glass box above the Thames for 40 days with no food and just water. And earlier this year, from July to October, artist Andrew Gormley placed an unusual sculpture next to that of the historical sculptures of the kings and war heroes. This was a living sculpture. Ordinary members of the public, for 1 hour, got their chance to stand in the middle of Trafalgar Square, on the pier, doing whatever they wanted. There was poetry, miming, singing, even people protesting about the government. This went on for 100 days, 24 hours a day, without a single break. Every member who got in had an hour slot each. By comparison, one of the most usual sights you'll see in London is the thousands of football supporters flocking to one of the 5 Premier League clubs located within London. The Premier League, which is one of the most prestigious football leagues in the world, 25% of their clubs are located in London. But London's not just about sport. This also has the Wimbledon Grand Slam tennis tournament, which this year attracted over 500,000 visitors. It's also the home of England Rugby, Twickenham Stadium, the home of cycling, gymnastics, diving. All their headquarters are located in England. And most importantly, in 2012, it shall be the host of the Olympics. So to summarise, I've talked about the top historical attractions, such as Buckingham Palace and the Tower of London. The fact that London is not just about history. It's always busy. There's the strange events like I mentioned, plus there's also the usual, the shopping, the cinemas, the theatres, everything is always busy. And lastly, it's the home of English sport. I hope you can now see that there is more to London than red buses, red telephone boxes and the rain. Thank you.